Welcome, everyone, to the Northeast Indiana Basketball Summit. I'm your host, Ben Smith, joined by my co-host, Jeff Metzger. Before introducing our guest, we want to thank Feel for the Game for providing the platform to have all these presentations live and available for replay. You can check out all the resources over at feelforthegame.com. Our guest today is Garrett Winegar, head boys basketball coach at Warren Central High School in Indianapolis. He began coaching high school basketball in 2015 at Bloomington South. He was a varsity assistant for 3 seasons at Warren Central. Before getting into the topic today, can you talk a little bit about your first season as head coach?
Yeah, so I got the job. Some people know kind of how it worked, but there we go. Someone else had accepted the job, so it kind of was late in the process. So I got the job on May 29th. I think it was a Thursday, and summer practice started the following Monday. So we had about 3 days to build a staff and try to keep our players from leaving and keep everything going. So that was pretty hectic June last year, but it was a good time to just get in and work. You know, I would text my assistants every day and just say, win the day, and give them here's what we're trying to do today. Here's what we need to get accomplished with our players or with what we're trying to do, getting assistance and all those things. So had a really good summer with our guys, built some really good relationships. We had a long way to go as far as where we were playing. We lost 7 of our top 8 from the previous year. Only had 1 player back with really any varsity experience. Lost all 5 starters from the sectional team the previous year. So we had a long way to go from the summer to where we needed to get. And the fall preseason conditioning and our limited contact period, we really grew with our guys, and we ended up winning our first 8 games. After that, we had a 5-game skid. We lost 5 in a row and had to work through some internal issues within our program with our players. And we worked through those issues, and then we went on a 10-game winning streak, and then culminating in losing in the sectional championship by 2 to Lawrence North. Having a chance to win that game down the stretch, just didn't pull it off. So very successful first year. I feel like obviously we would like to win that last one, which turned out to be the last game of the season for everybody. But a good season all around.
Awesome. So today we're going to talk about the pillars of defense and some stuff you guys do. So you're free to share, I think, now, whatever you want.
All right. Appreciate it. I'll go ahead and pull this. Why is it not showing up now? 1 second here. Trying to pull this up. All right. So I'll go through kind of what I'm going to talk about. First off, just the goals of our pressure defense, why we do it. Most people think it's to create turnovers, and that's part of it, but it's not really the basis of why we do what we do. Number 2, 10 keys for our players to be successful, what we emphasize on a daily basis in practice. 3 pillars of how we implement. 4, I'll do a little whiteboard talk on positioning and tactics and what we try to do with our full court pressure. 5, I'll talk through some drills that we use. You know, we have a bunch that I won't talk through. We'll try to give you a few that I'm sure everybody already uses, but maybe talk a little bit how we use them differently. 6, I'll go through some video. These are messed up, but I'll talk a little bit through some video and show some highlights of our season and how we were able to succeed doing what we do. First off, I think a myth of pressing, you know, everybody says, well, you can play that way because you're at Warren Central and you have athletes. I truly think that's a myth. You know, regardless of where I've coached AAU or anything, I've pressed, and I've seen it be successful with less athletic players. I think you may have to adjust the way you do it. You know, pressing isn't always to speed people up. Sometimes it's actually to slow them down, even though we do it to speed them up. But the myth that you have to have a more athletic team to pressure, I think it's a myth. I think that anybody could value from implementing some of these strategies and tactics, regardless of how athletic your team is. And I think some of these goals and pillars will kind of explain that. So first of all, the goals of our pressure defense. Number 1, we want to make the offense uncomfortable for 32 minutes. We like to say we play 84 feet for 32 minutes. And I just believe that if you make 15, 16, 17, 18-year-olds uncomfortable for 32 minutes, they're going to make a lot of mistakes. And over the course of the last 4 years, I've seen that to be true. You know, we were 76-6, so we're in a 3-year run, 18-6 this year. So 94 wins over a 4-year span, pretty much pressuring the whole time. Now, we adjusted a little bit this year how we pressured due to having a less athletic team, but regardless, we made the opposition uncomfortable. And I think our guys buy into that fact that we're going to impose our will when we walk in the gym, and it gives a certain confidence and swagger every time we walk on the floor. 2, we want to force the offense to play at our tempo and take quick shots. I think a lot of times we make people play a way they don't want to play, or get out of their comfort zone and do things they're not accustomed to doing. And some of the teams that we played were more skilled than us. And if we let them get comfortable and take the shots they want, then it would be to their advantage. So forcing them to play at our tempo, to play at our pace. 3, we want to disrupt what they do and force them to be someone they're not. 4, we do want to cause turnovers and create scoring opportunities in transition. Like I said, with this group I had this year, only have one varsity player. We needed to score from our defense. 5, we want to create fatigue. We are confident due to our strength and conditioning, due to what we do on a practice on a daily basis, that we will outlast the opponent in a game that's 84 feet for 32 minutes. And lastly, we want to make our team hard to prepare for. Now, I talked to a lot of opposing coaches about playing for us, and they'll talk about how they worked on our pressure defense the whole week. And I just believe that when people are constantly worrying about that, when they're talking about our pressure, it takes away from their ability to focus on what we do offensively. And I think it's something that you have to prepare for when you're going into a game against Warren Central. You know that we're going to be in your shorts from the time you get off the bus. And I think that gives us a mental advantage as well. I just broke this down to 10 keys to success for our players, things that I try to talk about on a daily basis, if not on a weekly basis for sure. 1, we have to play this way, and to play this way consistently, we have to play harder than anyone in the state. I always talk about being nasty, and that doesn't mean to play dirty, but it means that you're willing to do the little things and you're willing to play tough. And if we don't have 5 guys who can play tough and can play hard, then you can't play defense this way. If you have a weak link, then it's going to be exposed. So that's number 1, getting your guys to believe in that and buy into that. Number 2, we have to be exceptional at guarding our yard and be able to play 1v1 defense. We put a lot of emphasis on this in practice. We play some type of 1v1 almost every day. A lot of times it's 1v1 full court. Other times it's in a half court with certain parameters. But we are putting pressure on our guys to be able to defend. I just believe that if they get beat 9 times out of 10 today, then next week it's going to be 8 times out of 10 they're going to get better at playing defense. But we put an emphasis on being able to play 1v1 and not put ourselves in positions of help. 3, we have to play with tremendous energy. I mentioned all 5 guys being tough, but all 5 guys have to play with energy or we're giving up layups. If we're going to gamble here and there, we're going to really get up and press against the teams we're playing in the MIC, then if we don't have 5 guys playing with tremendous energy, the other team's going to get layups. 4, we have to be extremely deliberate with our communication. Our players have to communicate in order to play the defense we want to play. And we try to make, like everybody else does, we try to make it a staple of all our workouts and practices. Either players are going to communicate or they're not going to play. 5, we have exceptional conditioning. Most people, when I talk to them, they think to play this way, you have to be 10 or 11 deep. We played more guys this year, but over the course of the last 4 years, we've mostly been a 7 or 8 man rotation. So we had, the year we won state, I think we had 4 or 5 guys play 25 minutes or more a game. So our players have to be in excellent shape to play this way for the duration that we play it. So we do conditioning in practice. Our preseason conditioning program is intense. It is to find out, are you tough enough? And I'll talk a little bit more about that later on. 6, our ball pressure has to be great. Where I'm constantly telling our players to get up into the ball, to get a hand on the basketball, to mirror the basketball, to get in and make the ball handler uncomfortable. I think if you watch most basketball games, it's become so much about dribble drive and driving that people are now just trying to contain, and not a lot of teams put real pressure on the basketball that I see, and we try to really emphasize that in our program. 7, we want to make all off-ball movement as difficult as possible. So we talk about bumping cutters almost on a daily basis. We do a drill I call the Izzo drill, which I can show later on, but it's just about always, anytime your guy's cutting in, we're going to bump that cutter. We're going to make his cut difficult. We're going to impede his progress, because if we're pressuring the ball hard and we're bumping cutters and getting in the passing lanes, then it's going to be difficult to make passes. That's point 8. Every pass should be difficult. We're going to get in the passing lanes. I want to have the top foot and the outside hand in the passing lane. And, because of this, we're going to get beat backdoor from time to time. We're willing to live with that. And we found that in most situations, our players are able to recover. If we're in the passing lanes, that means that guy has to go back door first, and they have to make a good pass on our ball pressure, and our guy has to be too slow at recovering. More often than not, when the backdoor pass is made, we get a deflection or we get a steal in that process. 9, we have to get into pressure fast. I think this is the biggest thing that we still need to improve at. I talk a lot about being the fastest team in the state from defense to offense and pushing the tempo, but it goes the other way. We have to be to play this way, we have to be the fastest team in the state from offense to defense. So we talk about next play a lot. We talk about immediately finding your man and getting in pressure. And this is just something we have to constantly harp in film. We have to show us making a basket and then backpedaling 3 steps before we go forward, and it's too late. For us making a basket and celebrating and not getting in position. But being the fastest team in the state from offense to defense and having that transition be as quick as possible is key. And lastly, we have to be great teammates. If you're going to pressure, if you're going to pressure 84 feet, if you're going to be on the ball, you're going to get beat. It just is what it is. Playing against the best guards in the state, some of the best guards in the country, I feel like you're going to get beat off the dribble from time to time. So though we want to be able to guard our yard, we have to have great help side, have great rotations, and we have to recover efficiently. Those are kind of the 10 keys. Obviously, there's more that goes into it, but those are the things we really focus on for our defense to be a success. Last thing, and then I'll get into talking about exactly how we set up our defense and some of the rules. 3 pillars of how we implement. And I think number 1 is critical. You know, you ask a coach, you're a defensive guy, you're an offensive guy, all that stuff. I think coaches have to be both. But I know with our program to play this way, defense has to be our identity. And we make that clear from day 1. From the summer to the preseason, we know who we are, and it starts at the defensive end, all 84 feet of it. The pressure in the way we want, I think players have to buy into that. And we can't waver as coaches. You know, we have to be willing to struggle at the beginning of the season to see the end goal of the end of the season with players who've never played this way. And eventually, I believe we get player buy-in through consistency and confidence. And also they've seen it be successful as they're coming up through our program. It's a fun way to play the game, which adds to that buy-in. It instills an aggressive attacking mentality. You know, if you're going to press, if you're not engaged, if you're not attacking, if you're not focused, you're going to get beat. So it allows our players to automatically be engaged from the beginning of the game. It also allows them to play free in transition. They know if they take care of business on the defensive end, if they create a deflection, if they create a steal, that I'm going to give them the freedom in transition to go get a bucket and play fast. And they enjoy playing that way. Lastly, it allows non-scorers to establish valuable roles. You know, I mentioned before, we lost 7 of our top 8. We really had no idea who would be our starting 5 going into this year. And by game 8, we had won, you know, our first 8 games, and we'd started 4 or 5 different starting lineups. And we were just able to, as a staff, to use those last couple positions as who's playing hard, who can bring us energy, you know, who can step into this role as a defensive stopper and cause disruption. And it allows guys who don't score a lot to really have an impact on the game. Number 2, I believe our offseason, our preseason, our in-season strength and conditioning is vital to play this way. I mentioned it before, but I think our preseason conditioning and what we do with speed and agility and strength is pretty good. And I think that it prepares our players to play this way. It lays the foundation for success. What we do in August, September, and October lays the foundation for success later on in the season. I don't want to spend a lot of time in season running players to get them in shape. So I want them to be in shape by the time November hits. I also think it answers these questions. Are you tough enough to play our style? If you can't make it through what we're doing in the weight room, if you can't make it through the workouts and preseason conditioning, then you're probably not tough enough to play for us. And we see that pretty quickly when we get into preseason conditioning. 2, can you play our style for 25 to 32 minutes? You know, obviously we have guys who are 6 to 8 minute guys, 8 to 12 minute guys who are energy guys, but we need our best players to be able to play this style for a majority of the game. You know, my best player this year averaged 27 and a half minutes a game, and he was pressing the whole time. So can you do it consistently over time? Can you execute and make decisions and shots while fatigued? If you're going to press and you're going to play a majority of the game, you're going to be fatigued. So can you perform at your best when you're fatigued, when you're tired? And lastly, are you maximizing your athletic potential? You know, if you want to play this way, you have to be getting the most out of whatever you can get. And we do that through a disciplined weight and strength and conditioning program that I think is vital for us to play this way. And lastly, just our practice philosophy. It's really all geared toward this defensive scheme. I believe we should make practice harder than the game. And when you're going to play a game like we're going to play, the game's going to be pretty hard. So practice has to be pretty hard. We start every practice by getting in a defensive stance just to emphasize who we are as a program. You know, we're starting practice every day after stretching in a stance, and I'm talking to them. This is who we are. We're defense first, and that's how we start practice. Even if the rest of the practice is an offensive day or we're really getting into preparing for an opponent, we're going to start with that mindset that we're going to lock somebody down. Secondly, we want competitive practices. Every one of our practices, most of our drills center around being competitive. There's a winner and a loser, and our JV and our scout team is expected to compete and challenge the varsity on a daily basis. We play a lot of 1-on-1, 2-on-2, 3-on-3, 4-on-4, and 5-on-5 in the full court. You know, it's the best way to see if you can pressure is by pressuring. So the more I coach, the more I believe we should play more games. And especially if you're going to play this way, it's the best way to get your players in shape and show that they can play this way for a sustained period of time. Next, we believe in putting our defense at disadvantaged situations. So 6-on-5, 6-on-4, and I'll talk a little bit about that in some of the drills. But like I said, when you play the way we're going to play, you're going to get beat from time to time. You're going to be in a fast break situation. You're going to be playing catch up. You're going to have to transition fast, try to get deflection from behind, try to slide over and take a charge. So we put our defense in those situations. Also, we like to put our defense in situations where they are playing from behind to force extra pressure. So we do a lot of situations. I usually in practice at least 2 days a week with situations. So maybe our starting five is down 6, 2 minutes to go, and we have to mix up our presses. And then lastly, our pressure defensive drills. And I'll go into some of those here in a minute, but I want to transition to showing some film of what we did and just kind of talking about how we set up our defense. So if I stop sharing here. So the way we set up our defense, and people are going to line up their offensive press breaker in different ways, but we're going to full front. So if they line up in a 4 cross, which a lot of people do, we're going to full front every guy. Okay, so we got full front on every guy. The guy guarding the inbounder is going to help deny. So he's going to find a place somewhere under the rim where if someone breaks to get open, he can help deny. So we have 5 guys guarding 4 players. We believe with our athletes, if we have 5 guys guarding 4 players, we should be able to get a lot of 5-second calls, get a lot of deflections, and make it difficult to get the ball in bounds. We're going to switch everything on these screens. And this guy is going to go to the first guy that's open. Now, what everybody says, including my assistants coming into this year, is aren't we just going to get beat long? Aren't people just going to throw it long? And some teams do, and some teams are successful at it. I would say that a majority of the time, a high majority of the time, when teams try to throw it long, we are able to get deflections and we're able to get steals, or they turn the basketball over because we're going to be on them, and that's a tough play to make a break and go. If we do get beat long multiple times, we call it 55 back, and we'll put that guy back and take that away. The big screens that we have to be good at switching are obviously diagonal screens. So if they're here and we're here, this guy sets a diagonal screen and then leaks. That's where we've been before. Diagonal screen, leak. Our guys don't do a good job of switching, and they hit this guy on the run on that slice cut. So we always just talk about one guy being low, one guy being high. But as he's coming up to set the screen, he's calling switch, I'm low, I'm low. This guy's saying I'm high, so he knows he's got to take this guy. If he goes, he's taking, this guy leaks, he's got to take him, all right? If this guy goes this way, you got to take him. We switch at the point of the screen and try to bump them on that. That's a little confusing, but it's something that most players aren't used to doing. As far as full fronting, most want to be on the side and allow an easy catch. And we really practice at the beginning of the season. We start most of our practicing. First, we go 1-on-1, then we build up to 2-on-2, then we go 3-on-3, 4-on-4, and different press offenses, and we play against it to show those things. I'm going to share my screen again here and pull up some video to show some examples of this. So I'm going to go through a few different clips. First and foremost, I think that you have to play with extreme energy and effort, like I said, and the first clip is just an example of that. The guy guarding the basketball is our leading scorer from this year, and our players know it does not matter how much you score. If you do not defend, you will not play. and our guys really buy into that. I believe we talk about our ball screen defense based on the scout. In this game, we were flat hedging and getting over the top. He gets a screen. He's fighting over top. Didn't do a great job there. Kind of ran into the screen. We want him to get skinny and get over better. But our guy guarding the screener does a pretty good job flat hedging and extending and recovering. Another ball screen comes. Once again, he kind of runs into the screen. Got to do a better job getting skinny and getting over the top. But we have a good flat hedge and a recovery. Straight into ball pressure. And you got your leading scorer getting on the floor and another guy getting in the floor. That type of energy, that type of hand on the ball, constantly being active is the way we have to play. And we try to clip this stuff as much as we can when something positive like this happens, especially with guys who don't normally do it. If you a guy who doesn't normally take a charge, we want to highlight that guy. Secondly, on the clips, I just want to show how what we do tends to cause mistakes and force people to play the way they don't want to play, even when we get beat. So that's most people's fear with pressing. You're going to give up layups. You have to be willing to give up 6 to 8 points a game on an open layup. You just have to be willing to say that's going to happen, but know you're going to get it back. And more often than not, even when we get out of position, here we gamble somewhere we really shouldn't have gambled, because even if we get that ball, it's a deflection out of bounds and it's their ball. But we did gamble. So they break the other way, but he's uncomfortable. He's not comfortable playing at this pace. And more often than not, mistakes happen and we're able to get the ball back and go the other way. We're willing to live with that. I would talk to him about not gambling in that situation, but at the same time, if you're going to play at this pace and this tempo, there's going to be times when you get out of position, and we have to be great at transitioning back. So just a few more clips here, just a couple of us just speeding people up, getting beat, and we're immediately into transition, trying to attack, trying to score, trying to get into early offense. I'll show us setting up in a press here in a minute. Once again, guys doing what they can't do. Like I said, our press causes people to do things that they can't do, try to handle the ball in situations they can't handle the ball, and it usually ends well for us. Here's a situation of us scoring, trying to get right back into our press. This is where it can really get difficult when we get 2 or 3 of these in a row. We score, see Malik there jump right into our press. They can't get the ball in, throw it in, we get another bucket right back. And this is at 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. So this is really that end of the third quarter, going into the fourth quarter is where we really see the defense start to wear teams down. I had an assistant this year that asked me, are we really going to wear teams in the mic down? And my argument to him was, yes, we will. And I think over the course of the year, he saw that. Going to transition into some ball pressure clips, just what we want. Obviously ball pressure has to be personnel based. Not every single one of your players is going to be able to pressure the ball great. So our guys have to have self-awareness and know, can they get up in somebody or do they need to give them 3 feet? What can they do? And we talk a lot about that. Obviously we want to pressure the ball. We urge them earlier in the season to get up in them. But as we progress and as people learn what they're good at, you have to have self-awareness and you can't get beat. So that's the first priority. Here, we're pressuring the ball. He's moving with them. Hands are out. He sees an opportunity, hands on the ball, and we're going the other way. That's not the typical steal that we get, but it does happen because this guy is bringing the ball up when he typically probably wouldn't be bringing the ball up. But we're denying their point guard. Their point guard is right here. We do a good job denying him. We don't allow their point guard to get the basketball. Someone else brings the basketball up that's not comfortable handling it, and we're able to get a steal from it. Here's ball pressure in the half court. We talk a lot about having hand-on defenders. In high school basketball right now, they allow you to play that way. And if they don't, then we adjust to the referees. But we want to be physical when we can. Ball screen's coming. He's forcing them into the ball screen. This game, we're hard hedging, or sometimes we're even trapping screens in this game because we felt we could turn over their ball handlers. He forced them into the screen, hand on the basketball, and we get a steal and go the other way and get a foul. Another thing we want is 1 5-second call a half, whether that is on the ball because we're denying or whether that's with them throwing the ball in. I always say we got to have a 5-second call this half. Here's an example of us getting it on the ball. Got ball pressure out front. Got him down here denying the wing entry as this guy pops out, is trying to get a post. He's denying the post entry, trying to get a ball reversal, denying that. And we're in every passing lane all over the floor. My big guy's at the middle of the floor, has a hand in the passing lane there. There's nowhere for the ball handler to go, and we get a 5-second call. Okay, gonna go and just, like I said about throwing it long, a lot of teams try, like I said, it usually ends in a turnover. Just show a couple examples of that. We're immediately setting up in our press. They have nothing available. Try to throw it long. He's running too fast, not comfortable where he's at. We get tapped from behind. Happens on a regular basis. The amount of times I found these clips as I was going through was kind of shocking to me. They try to throw it long. We get a steal. It's a tougher play than people think to throw that ball long and to time it right and to do it without us getting deflection. Another example here, our big spots it, sees an opening, gets a steal, and finishes. Like I was showing on the board, just some examples of how we set up the defense. These guys are full frontal, denying. This guy's helping deny on the ball. I'd like him to be a step higher, a little bit higher, so he can deny a guy that breaks out, about the volleyball line. Down here, he's coming up to deny. He should be up there a little further. We're denying. They got nothing. They throw it away. Another example here. They lose. They don't know where to go with it. Throw it in. Lose the basketball. We're riding to early offense. Our guy sets early ball screen. Nothing there. Comes off a dribble handoff. We get a good look that I think he misses, but we got a good look at it. A couple more examples of just our full court denial. Everybody full court denying. Everybody making full frontal, making it difficult for their man to catch the basketball. They throw it away. Easy baskets. So we were able to improve our scoring average this year from the previous 3 years with a much less talented roster. And we were able to do that through playing a little faster, but through getting a lot of opportunities from our defense, which we have always done, and we continue to do that with a less athletic team. And that's why I believe that you can do this even if you don't have necessarily the best athletes. There's a bunch of those. I'll skip down so we can get to a few other clips that I want to show. An area that I really want to improve going into next year that we didn't do a great job of. I think teams that press way too often just allow teams to throw it in from side out of bounds. Most teams have side out of bounds sets, but they don't score off them very often. And that's not everybody. Some coaches do a really nice job, but most people just get the ball in and get it their offense. I think you can get 5-second counts and steals pretty consistently on side out of bounds if it's something you really work on. And we did that some this year, but it's something I really want to work on in situations next year. This was a key point in this game. Into the third quarter here, we get a deflection, go the other way, really get momentum to shift just by denying on a side out of bounds. Here's a few examples of 5-second calls. I think along with charges, I think 5-second calls are just demoralizing. If we score, we hit a three, or we get to the bucket and score, and then we turn around right away and you can't get the basketball in and get a 5-second call and we get another opportunity to score, especially in a close game, I think it's just a momentum shifter, and it gets us fired up on the bench. And I'm always having our bench get up and get excited that means if you get a 5-second call, it means all 5 guys on the floor did their job. See all 5 guys denying, him helping deny, 5 seconds. The help guy needs to be talking, help deny, recover the next guy, help deny, another 5-second call. Last one we'll look at here, side out of bounds example, switch the screen, deny, 5-second, pretty quick one, they gave it to us. Next part that I talked about, where we get a majority of our steals is in the passing lanes. Our ball pressure has to be great. Like I said, we have to be in the passing lanes. Here's just a few examples of that. Getting the passing lanes, getting out and going. We chart deflections. We want to know how many we get every game. Great ball screen hedge here. We're going to tag on the double side. So this guy on the single side can still deny. He will help some, but we're going to tag from this guy and have this guy drop. So he's denying, gets in the passing lanes, and he's out and going. Last couple here. We'll move on. And we work on this moment right here. It's clear that the guard is in trouble, and we work on that through a variety of drills, but we all should be denying. He's actually too low at this point. He needs to be getting up there. He recognizes, gets up there, and is able to get a deflection and go the other way. Without ball pressure, the denial is not going to be effective. Great ball pressure here, staying in front, and we're out and we're going. Two things on that. A big area where teams, I think, can improve, even if you play some pack line and you do not deny, I think you can deny the first entry more. And that's just something we work on every day, doing L-cut 1v1 or B-cut one-on-one to work on denying the first entry. With so many teams, if you deny their first entry, it takes them completely out of what they want to do in that set offensively. So here, just an example, us making that first entry pass to the wing difficult, being on the high side, getting a hand in the passing lanes, and the ball going out of bounds. Hopefully we got a little bench energy. I see 5 coaches. I need some more players up. Like I said on backdoor, a lot of times it's still a turnover. Here we get a little out of position. We get a little too high. Backdoor happens, turnover. No, some teams really were effective at backdooring us, but I would say at least 50% of the time, even the teams that are effective, it results in turnovers. Lastly, last couple clips, and I'll wrap up. We allow our players to trap in opportune times. So we do some run and jump, but really we just allow them to do it in the half court or full court in times where they see an advantage. Now, we don't want to overly gamble, but if we get someone stuck on a baseline, in a corner, in a coffin corner, we want to look for opportunities to trap both in the half and full court. Here's an example in the half court. We got a guy stuck on the baseline, 2 guys there. We're going to rotate, and we're going to keep that trap. So here we got this guy rotating to the ball. This guy should be playing kind of in the middle, but taking away the basket first. This guy should still be denying. The only thing we're going to give up is this long skip, which is a tough pass to make. Just like that, we get a turnover. This year, more than previous years, we integrated 2-2-1 3/4 court traps and 1-2-1-1 Nova 3/4 court traps. We were still man-to-man pressure probably 80% of the time, but 10 to 15% of the time, maybe 20% of the time, we integrated some of these presses to switch the tempo, sometimes to slow the other team down. And we saw a lot of success with the 2-2-1 and 1-2-1-1 3/4 court presses. We have our back row in the 2-2-1 takeaway middle. So backside weak guy is going to take away middle. The back guy is going to take away the ball side corner, but he's going to be in the middle some so he can rush to a skip. And this guy's also going to shade middle. We're going to trap. Should be a quicker trap right there in that corner. The middle guy's taking away the reversal. This guy's middle. This guy should be out here more. The only thing we're giving up is a long skip. There we get a steal. Go the other way. A couple more 2-2-1 examples. Taking away middle. This guy goes out. This guy's taking him. This guy's got to be ready for a trap. So if this guy comes and they're moving a trap, this guy would have to come all the way toward the middle here. Wait for an opportunity. Bad pass. Deflection. Going the other way. Last clip. That's where we want to trap. We talk about if there's 2 reversals, we should be looking for a trap. There's 1 pass. He's dribbling. We should really be getting a hard trap here. Somebody got too far out of position. but still the pressure causes him to lose the basketball, and we're out and we're going. Especially when, we've been in full court man-to-man for 2.5 quarters, and then after a free throw or after a timeout or just in the middle of a game, we go to a 2-2-1. We line up in full court man, then fall back into it. We're successful in causing a little bit of confusion for the other team, and it was usually good for 1 or 2 turnovers, and then we would usually go back to our man or maybe stay in it depending on how things were going. So on to drills, I just wanted to go through 5 or 6 drills that we really believe in, that I think are vital if you want to play this way. Number one, and I'll do it probably the first day of practice every year that I coach, is we just start one-on-one full court. We have the defensive guy hand the offensive guy the ball, and we're going one-on-one full court. One, it immediately brings energy to your practice. Guys guarding each other full court one-on-one and playing the game against each other, getting excited to play, competing. It immediately brings a buzz and energy to your practice. And our coaches and all the players are going to be bringing energy during that time. After each guy goes 2 or 3 times full court, and we go to 2-on-2, and we play in our full court press breaker. So a coach or a teammate will be passing it in, and it's 2-on-2 with guys setting screens for each other to get open, and they play 2-on-2 full court. After each team goes a few times, we then go 3-on-3. So now they're throwing it in, and we got 2 guys getting the ball in, and we're 3-on-3. Then we go to 4-on-4 and 5-on-5 in our full press breaker. So we're working on our man-to-man press breaker almost on a daily basis with that, and we're working on the ability to deny and pressure in the full court on a daily basis. That's a staple of what we do. I think our players look forward to it. I think it's a great way to get them in shape, and I think it's a great way to improve their defensive end and also improve their offense handling the ball under pressure. Secondly, 4v4 show with drivers from the corner. I'll pull this up. So I know a lot of people run this, but we'll have a coach with the basketball here, 4 offensive guys out top, 4 defenders on them, and then we have a coach, manager, maybe just 2 other players in each corner. Anytime the ball is passed to the corner, like right here, that coach, manager, trainer is going to drive the baseline. We have to rotate, take away the baseline. Our guard has to drop to take away that pass, and this guy has to rotate. We're still going to be denying this entry 1 pass away. Once the ball is kicked back out, coach will retreat. We'll go right back into the 4-on-4 shell. Anytime the ball is passed to the corner, it's a drive, so we have to rotate. Once again, just putting our guys in a disadvantaged situation where we are anticipating that at times in the game we're going to get beat. So we have to be great at rotating. We have to be great at helping. We have to be great at communicating. And that's one of my favorite drills to do that. 3, pair up, don't walk. This is a Coach Knight drill that I obviously got from Coach Byers during my time with him. We just have 2 guys on offense, 2 guys on defense. They're not scoring the basketball. Every time they catch it, they get 2 dribbles, and then they have to shot fake or pass fake and make a bounce pass. So it's a defensive and offensive drill. Offensively, we are working on being able to handle ball pressure, being able to pivot into positions of power, being able to be strong, rip the basketball hip to hip. Defensively, working on ball pressure and denying. They only get 2 dribbles and they're not shooting. You got to be able to deny. You got to get 5 counts. You got to get deflections. I've added that if the offense does a good enough job and they're in there for a long enough time that they're really getting taxed, I'll blow the whistle and say live, and then they'll play. One of my favorite drills, if you do it and you do it right, your players will be very taxed after 45 seconds to a minute. It will get them in shape, and they'll be breathing heavy. Progression fast break and 4-on-4 catch up. These are things everybody does, but they're important for us. 4-on-4 catch up. We do it in a couple different ways. Some ideas that we integrated this year that I really like that maybe can add some value to you. Typically a coach will throw this guy the ball, and the guy in front of him is running and touching the line. What we worked on this year is putting 5 guys out here. So 1, 2, 1 guy in the middle, 3, 4, 5 guys across. And whoever we threw it to, let's say we're going to play Cathedral and Comer or a really talented fast guard. Whoever we threw it to would be that guy. The guy on him would immediately have to guard him and pressure the basketball. Everybody else was we would call out one name. So let's say we called out X4's name. He had to run and touch the line, The other 3 guys were sprinting back into a triangle into our transition defense. The one guy at the top of the key, a guy outside of each block. So basically, we're working on controlling very fast ball handlers with that. So opposite of, kind of what we're talking about, making uncomfortable, that is to stop teams that are very good off of our misses in transition. Other ways we've done it is automatically call 2 names, which I know a lot of people do, but been a really effective drill for us, especially that last way I talked about, guarding the ball, 1 guy touching, other 3 guys sprinting back, working on containing teams that are really good in transition. Last couple things, progression fast break. We just go 2-on-1, 3-on-2, 4-on-3, 5-on-4, 5-on-5. Our players love that drill, so we try to do it a lot. And then also this year I added a lot of 3/4 court blood drills where the defense is at a disadvantage. So I got this from Vance Wahlberg at a clinic who he kind of initiated the dribble drive offense. He used it more for dribble drive. We used it for that reason, but also for our defense. So the defensive guy would be at half court. He couldn't move until the offensive guy got to the volleyball line coming at him. The offensive guy would catch the ball in the run about 3/4 court, and the defensive guy's in the stance and has to react. The big, if we're in 2-on-2, is at the opposite dunker spot. So if the guard comes at him, he's going to rotate to the opposite dunker and keep that space. If the guard goes away, he's going to maintain that space and look for the little pass to the foam, as we call it. So those drills, then we build up on those 3-on-3 with the guy in the corner, 4-on-4, have been really effective to build our dribble drive offense, but also to work on our disadvantaged defense. I have these kind of from Fast Print made up. I know most of you guys probably do a lot of these, but if anyone wants it, I could always send it out or attach it. Just adding to it to kind of wrap up, we tried to play faster this year and kind of play a faster offensive system with this dribble drive, with this defensive system, and add some dribble drive. We were able to do that, I think, successfully without increasing our turnovers. So we averaged 7 more possessions a game this year than we did previously, while maintaining a little bit higher points per possession. So I think the key to this defense is being able to maintain discipline on the offensive end. They play into each other hand in hand. And if you're going to play fast on the defensive end, obviously you want to play fast going the other way. But if it's not there, if you don't have the transition, having the discipline in your team to slow it down and get the shot you want, when you want it, by who you want to take it, is very important. I think a lot of teams that play this way maybe get a little out of control on the offensive end. And, like I said, I don't want to be a defensive coach, even though that's where I start. I want to be an all-around coach, and we need to be efficient offensively as well. And I think when you can maintain your offensive efficiency and play this way, then you got an opportunity to be in a lot of games. Kind of all I got. I don't know if you guys have any questions or anything like that.
Yeah, I've got a question. What do you think is the hardest part about being a high school coach?
Parents.
Parents.
I think that, I try to read a little bit, and Pat Riley talks about the disease of me. I think that's a big issue that we're going to continue to fight the longer we go, is the disease of me. And getting your kids to believe that it's about the team is just something that you have to fight for every day. Like you can't let it be something that you say once and then it goes. Like if you see someone getting the disease of me, if you see that infiltrating your culture, it's got to be something you attack head on. And unfortunately, a lot of that does come from parents. We've been blessed to have a lot of really good parents everywhere I've been, but you're always going to have some that don't like what you do. And when you are, you get your kids for 2.5 hours after school, you got in the living room, whatever, you get them to buy into the fact that we're doing this together. Well, then all 22 of them that you got JV and varsity go home and hear that, you're an idiot and their teammate shoots too much. So, getting them to really buy into the team, the family aspect, the we over me, and fighting out that disease of me, I think is very important. And I think it's the toughest part about coaching today's kids.
And then to go along with that question, what's the best part about being a high school coach?
The exact opposite. The best part's the kids. I've found that we have really good kids. We have had over the last 4 years, and then at my time in Bloomington, I've just been blessed to coach really hardworking kids who want to get better. And if you want to work hard and be in the gym and get better, then I'm going to be there. I think if my players would say one thing, they would say that we're willing to be in the gym, that we're willing to put the time in. And I've just been blessed to have a lot of kids who are willing to do that. And that, it's like if you're at a job and you're not a coach and you do something else, you got a bunch of people working hard every day. That's going to get you fired up. And we've just had a lot of great kids. And that's the exciting part. You think you get into coaching to win because you like the game. I know the actor, Gerard Butler, the guy from 300, I saw a quote from him like, think you get into acting for the glamour and the awards, but really it's the relationships and the process that you end up loving. And that's the best part. The relationships with the kids and your staff, and then the process of, taking a team like we had this year with 7 of our top 8 gone and then taking them from where they were at the beginning and that process to get them to where they were at the end. That's something I really enjoy.
All right. Thank you. Ben, you got a question?
Yeah, I got a few. So, I know it's really competitive down there in the MIC. You mentioned that a couple times. Do other teams in conference try and play a similar style?
It's different. It's a wide range. There are teams that play full court man, not quite the way we do it all out the Nile, but you will see some full court man. You will see some diamond presses and 3/4 court presses. But then you also have teams in the MIC that play predominantly in the half court. So it's really a pretty wide range. There aren't a lot of teams that I've seen that play full court man, or pressing of some time most of the game like we do. But there are some, I know there are some coaches around the state who do too, but I do think there's a kind of a mindset that it's harder to do the more talented kids you play, but everybody's human. Everybody gets tired, and sometimes that's the only way to beat the best kids is to get them tired.
For sure. Another question. Do you have or how many possessions do you try and get in the game, or do you have a goal for that?
We didn't have an exact goal for that this year. Like I said, I really value points per possession more than necessarily possessions. We did increase our possessions by about 7 possessions a game, and we scored about 1.1 points per possession. So obviously that's equivalent to 7 or more points a game. So that's important for us. But we didn't have necessarily a goal. That's something I would look to do in the future. But being my first year kind of implementing this offense and things, I didn't have a set goal. So, and it varies so much for us. We're going to do what it takes to win. So there are games when we had crazy amounts of possessions and scored 100 points, and there are games when we had 2 possessions in the fourth quarter and scored 40 points. So it's such a wide range that it's there's a lot of anomalies in there, but we definitely have a goal of trying to play faster and trying to push the tempo.
Awesome. Last thing, you briefly mentioned books. Do you have any recommendations?
Yeah, coaching-wise, I mentioned the Pat Riley book, The Winner Within. I think that's his first book. It's really, really good. I like that. I've read a bunch. I'm kind of into like a leadership phase right now, so I'm not really reading as many coaching books. Recently, I've read Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. It's one of my favorite books. Strongly recommend that. He's a former Navy SEAL who went on to run a bunch of ultra marathons and things. He's just a crazy dude who has a crazy story. He's actually from Brazil, Indiana, or he lived in Brazil, Indiana as a kid. So it's a really good book. And then Jocko Willink just came out with a book last year called Dichotomy of Leadership. And it's basically just talking about, he's also a former Navy SEAL, but talking about how everything in leadership has a balance. For example, with our kids, you have to be hard on them or you're not going to get the best out of them. But if you're too hard on them, then they're going to rebel. So finding that balance in everything you do, every strength can be a weakness. So that's a really good book as well.
Awesome. This was fantastic. We'll have it up, next day or two, be able to watch it on YouTube. I'll send you the links and everything, but I really appreciate you coming on. Congratulations again with Guyton.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Thanks for everything you're doing. This is great, to have a resource for coaches. I think you're going to have a lot of people going back and watching these and learning. I know I will be, so I appreciate it. I know you put a lot of time in, so I appreciate it, both of you guys and Coach up there for this video.
Yeah, he has another one coming up at 9, so he was getting ready for that. I'm not on that one, but I don't know what he's doing. So talk soon, all right? Look forward to staying in touch.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Bye.